persistent dry cough? It might be asthma or COPD, but it could be ILD. Ask a pulmonologist and keep asking until you know. Learn more now at lungsandyou.com.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
There is a part of our world where toxic chemicals and carcinogens are leaching into our environment. It's the ground underneath every littered cigarette butt. Let's stop the toxic litter. Learn more at rethinkbutts.org. Brought to you by Legacy and Leave No Trace.
Your station for news, traffic, and weather in Central Ohio. News Radio 610 WTVN Columbus. WODC HD2 Asheville. An iHeartRadio station. From ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. The U.S. has begun airdrops of aid into Gaza this weekend. White House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby.
Part of this is very much because not enough aid is getting in. And not enough people are getting the food, the water, the medicine, and the fuel that they need. That's what's driving this.
ABC News foreign correspondent Tom Sophie Borage is in Tel Aviv.
The U.S. following Jordan and other countries already airdropping supplies.
TV.
President Biden saying innocent lives in Gaza are now on the line. At least 10 children in the Gaza Strip have starved to death.
It is so irritating, I will never call them.
According to the UN.
Dangerous weather, parts of the U.S., a monster storm charging through the west, the Lake Tahoe area being
hey, real quick. No caller that we know of. The one I thought is not calling him.
Tracking emergency service manager Robert Womack.
Right now is a good time to not be on the road.
Oh, you found the King
there's
song?
There's going to come a point where even being in a car is going to be dangerous.
Parts of California at risk of being buried at up to 12 feet.
Hey, JC's talking. You've never met Ella?
No, have you never had the pleasure?
Ella's been on the range.
And inclusion positions within the university.
I'm so happy about that. That's
good.
Maybe you wouldn't talk bad about her, JC, if you would either.
Many educators across the state, including Dr. David Cantor, the director of the African American Studies program at UF, are pushing back on
any efforts used to educate and inform and expose people to multiple perspectives about multiple culture, about race, only benefits the country. So people can make informed decisions rather than make decisions based on fear or ignorance.
A paramedic has been sentenced to 5 years in prison for the death of Elijah McClain. Peter Chichkunekak was convicted of criminally negligent homicide. He and his co-defendant, Jeremy Cooper, were accused of administrating an excessive amount of ketamine to sedate 23-year-old Elijah McClain after an encounter with police in 2019. You're listening to ABC News.
A 2-year-old boy who was the object of an Amber Alert Friday afternoon is back with his parents. That little boy was sleeping in the back of a pickup truck parked outside a Dollar General in the Wayne County village of Marshallville. Then a man was seen getting into the truck and driving off. Marshallville police officer T.J. Rocker told 3 News that the truck was spotted by an Akron police officer.
And we have a resolution to it. The child is unharmed, and this is a good day. My understanding is he's doing quite well, anxious to get back to mom and dad. The fire department checked him out here, and he's in great shape.
The chief says charges will likely be filed on Monday. A new report by the Humane Society of the United States says Ohio has the second highest number of puppy mills in the country. The report, called the Horrible 100, looks at the total known number of puppy mills and dealers in each state. The Humane Society says puppy mills are commercial-scale dog breeders who sacrifice the health and well-being of puppies and dogs to maximize profit. Missouri topped the list with 31 known mills, while Ohio tied for second place with Iowa with 13 known mills. CVS Pharmacy paying to settle violations at Ohio stores.
The Ohio Board of Pharmacy says it has worked out a settlement with CVS over violations at nearly 24 stores. Violations like missing drugs, dispensing errors, lack of cleanliness, and more. CVS agreeing to pay $1.3 million, and it'll have to appoint a licensed pharmacist as a liaison to make sure the company is complying with both Ohio and federal pharmacy regulations. Cleveland.com reports that the State Pharmacy Board is also looking to create some new rules to help pharmacy working conditions, like requiring mandatory breaks. I'm Jack Crumley.
They're back. Observers have spotted a bald eagle egg inside the nest near Avon Lake's Redwood Elementary School. Adult eagles named Stars and Stripes return to the area each year. A live look at the nest can be seen by searching Avon Lake Eagle Cam on YouTube. I'm Andy Betts.
Your latest news, traffic, and weather.
If you're not informed, then you're out of the loop.
All you have to do is ask.
Play 610 WTVN on iHeartRadio.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's. Wendy's Breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles lets you choose your perfect duo from your fave 4, like a sausage or egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, or medium hot coffee. Limited time only during breakfast hours. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in the combo. Single item at regular price.
As a homeowner, there are two things you should know about spring. It's the season for most water heater breakdowns, and it's when most clogs happen too. For water heaters, it's the chain heat, even if you call as late as 5 p.m., and even if you want to upgrade to tank logs. The warmer weather causes trees to grow their roots out, and those roots often find their way to sewer lines, causing clogs. It's why we offer 93 or it's free clog busting. We'll cable your clog clear and provide a year's guarantee. So I hope you avoid both problems this spring. But if you don't, know that Eco plumbers, electricians, and HVAC technicians will always come through for you when you need us to.
At geteco.com.
News, new guns that just arrived at LEPD, and a gun of the week. Well, it's one that I love for so many reasons. All up next.
Live from LEPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Good afternoon. Welcome to On Target. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Firearms and Range. Ed, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
I am.
JC, are you there?
All right. Yeah, I can hear myself.
The gang's up. But guys, we are broadcasting live right here at 999 Bethel Road. If you've never stopped by and checked it out, it is worth doing. Kind of neat. We have a little live studio audience. And,
thanks.
Yep, there we go.
A little late on that, but that's
guys, I know we're not politically correct.
No.
And I hesitate even saying this. I'm going to tiptoe around it a little bit. And if you guys would have been here a little bit earlier today, I would have showed you what I'm talking about. But
you guys,
you and John.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. There was we get all types on the range, all types, and it's really neat. I mean, it's neat because it spans the political spectrum. It spans everything, race, religion. It's really neat. The other day, we had someone on there, and I'm not even going to be able to do it justice, but a couple people came to the range. One was a middle-aged man, and the other was dressed interestingly enough, and nice-looking, fit body, fur-lined boots. Fur-lined boots, and a one-piece aerobic type outfit.
This was a guy.
I'm just talking. It was a person.
Okay.
Politically correct. One piece outfit, long fingernails, tattoos. I mean, it turned a lot of heads. Yeah. It turned a lot of heads.
Okay.
And let's just say things used to be a heck of a lot simpler than they are today.
Oh yeah.
And we'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Well, that's where you're going to stop.
I gotta stop because if I say something else, it's not gonna. It's gonna go.
You're gonna have everybody hanging on here, tooth and nail. What was it?
I know.
What was it?
Well, it
was.
What did it appear to be, or what was it?
Well, what did
it start out as?
Yeah,
it started out as a man.
Okay. Oh, all right. There you go.
6'5".
Holy moly.
Mm-hmm. He'd do well in the girls' basketball teams.
Yes, he would.
Yeah, it's okay. All
Seriously, right. Yeah. There you go, JC. But it's just like you said, that reality show we almost had a couple years ago, we'd still be doing good on that. Yeah. Yes. Guys, we are the owners of LEPD Firearms Range and Training Facility and are active in law enforcement. But for 1 hour on Saturdays, we put together a group of firearm experts to discuss new products in the market, training tips, and oftentimes political topics surrounding the Second Amendment. Our commitment, though, has always been to bring you the facts about our industry and help listeners and customers with safe, responsible ownership of firearms. I want to start out by thanking our good friend Frank LaRose for stopping by last week. Yeah. And certainly always good to hear the voice of FOP Lodge number 9 President Jeff Simpson. Good to hear him and how he's always out there fighting for the men and women in law enforcement. Next week, hate to get beyond today's show, but next week, Bernie Marino's calling in.
Really?
Yep, Bernie Marino's calling in. And then in the second hour, I wish. In the second half of the show next week, we have a really, really, really neat interview with a true hero. You talk about heroes, and look at that hero. No, this guy is a hero. He's been a friend of the family for actually since I was a little kid, and he's going to stop by, tell us about his story. Kind of fascinating, really neat. So you're not going to want to miss that.
I met him at the beginning of my career.
Did you really?
I did.
Wow. Yeah, he a neat man. Someone we should all look up to and be thankful for all that he has done for our community. So he'll be here next week. Today, though, we're going to have some housekeeping. Got a lot of little things going on, a lot of things coming up in the upcoming weeks. JC is going to catch you up on some news, and JC, you got about 13, 16, at least 17 pages of news there?
We didn't do any last week and had 5 pages. Some of them were pretty important. So, we got to kind of mix that in. A lot of stuff happening, with this administration in the what I believe, and everyone believes, the final hours of the administration and trying to get as much crap in.
Did you hear Biden the other night? He said it's getting close to the end of his first term, and he will have a ban on assault weapons and high capacity.
Did he say that?
Yes.
Well, they are doing their best.
Before the end of his career this time.
It is going to be a heck of a year, guys. We've said that for a while. We are, though, on a positive note, we're going to talk about a few new firearms. One that is sitting here on the table if you're watching live on Facebook or YouTube. It's really neat, and it's kind of a precursor to one that I am super excited about getting in here shortly, but this one is very nice. I had the gun of the week, and I apologize if for those who will remember this gun of the week, I've done it before, Ed. I've done it before. I hate to repeat guns of the week.
Because sometimes that's important to bring up something like that.
I looked. It was 2017.
Okay.
so I can't believe we've been on that long. But, yes, it's a repeat. And the only reason I'm doing it again because I found it in the back of my closet recently. I brought it in to show the boys, and I'm like, that is really neat. And JC doesn't know what it is. Actually, I don't think Ed knows what it is either. So that is...
I don't remember every gun of the week we've had for the last 10 years. But
I don't remember all the guns I've got in my safe.
I found that out, too. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Jackson Egress Windows, Blackwing Shooting Center, River's Edge Cutlery, CNS Engraving, and, of course, LEPD Training Facility, all who make the show possible each week. Joining me today, to my left, JC. JC, did you hear? We did a couple interviews this week. I was on.
Wait.
Wow, look at the applause. Wow. Was that the applause button? Did you hit the applause button?
I did do that, yeah. I got a dolphin feeder out there. M&M's come out every time I hit this, so I appreciate that.
We did a couple interviews this week. We're on Blazer on the morning show, and there's so much stuff going on, and some of it we're going to get to here shortly with your news, but definitely a lot of undercurrent going on. To my right, Big Ed. How are you doing, Ed?
I'm good.
All right.
Another year older. Thanks for the birthday wishes for those of you who forgot.
Yes.
But there are some of our fans out there that didn't forget.
I heard that. You had fans actually wishing you birthday
wishes. What was that?
It was last Sunday.
Okay.
You want me to tell you how old I am?
Go ahead.
How old are
66.
You? No, you're not. I thought you were 61.
No.
You're 66?
Yep.
Oh, I'm going to start being nicer. Wow. If you missed the show, you can always catch the
10 years younger than John.
10 years younger than John?
What? No way.
It's hard to believe, isn't
it? No, yes.
If you missed the show, you can always catch the podcast. It's out there at 610 WTV, and it's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Google Podcasts. Also, a great place to watch the show is Facebook, which they're kind of on my list right now. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But also on YouTube, and YouTube, the videos stay out there. Great place to watch it. We're getting a lot of traction now.
Our third show on YouTube.
So, things are good. Going fairly smooth. Now, we can't complain about that about YouTube. So, JC, news time. What do you have for us?
Well, we had some stuff from last week that was pretty important. There's just a lot of things happening. So, we had a couple of good decisions, which is kind of surprising. I'm going to go back to, California. People go, why do you keep talking about California? What's important about that? Well, what's important about that is they happen to have a governor who would really like to be the president of the United States, and he is one of the most anti-gun people out there, period, passing all sorts of laws. And he's had the support not of the district judge, as our favorite judge is Benitez, who is a constitutionalist and has favored our gun rights continually, always overturned by the Ninth Circuit Court, who the Ninth Circuit Court has out there has yet to rule in favor of gun rights in decades, not a single case in decades. But this time they did. And so people are saying, gee, could this be softening a little bit due to the Bruin Supreme Court decision, Heller and Bruin? We don't know yet. I don't think it's going to be the case. But what they did was to stop everything, especially the kids from being interested in firearms. If you have any kind of an ad, any gun store, anything gun-related that they think, who's they? It's the California folks, the Attorney General, that the kids may be interested in it. There's a $25,000 fine per occurrence. So if you post it up, hey, we have Boy Scouts are going to have a turkey shoot where they win a turkey if you get the $25,000 fine. You can't post anything. They've had this in place now for a few years, and finally it takes a long time to get up through the court system. So finally it reached the Ninth Circuit Court, who refused to overturn a lower court's decision. The lower court said, we think this is unconstitutional. So for the first time, they didn't say it was good. They just said we're refusing to hear the case, which kind of shocked Californians out there. But they saying, it's a right of free speech. Plus California, the state of California had a shooter program in their schools to promote trap shooting and stuff. Nope, that canceled everything out. And unfortunately, it seemed to have halted the opportunity for an Olympic hopeful for the United States. A girl who was 16 at the time when this law took effect. Her name was Lola Fitzgerald, who enrolled in the school shooting programs. She won 4 All-American titles in trap shooting and clay shooting, and 3 World Junior titles. But she no longer can compete in the Olympics because since they passed this, she said she couldn't even post her scores online. Attorney said, nope, that's a $25,000 fine, anything involving guns. So the bottom line is the judge says, hey, it's going to go back, so they're going to hopefully be able to at least have students participate in the sports. So that was one. The second one, a federal judge blocked California law allowing suits against out-of-state gun makers. This is this Democratic left wing because of the PLACA, which is the Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act, which means that, just for those who aren't familiar with that, they passed a law some time ago that if you sell a gun legally and the person legally has it, and all of a sudden maybe it gets stolen in another state, is used in a crime, you can sue the store that sold the gun originally and the gun manufacturer.
What about the guy who's on the gun?
It's crazy. Oh, they'll probably let them go. It's probably a legal immigrant anyway, so they'll probably just give them more money and a free cell phone.
No, I meant the guy who had the gun stolen from him.
Oh, well, I don't know what they're doing with that. But anyway, so they're trying to find ways of getting around it. New York started it, and so what they're doing is picking words out of law. And for example, in California, they passed a law that it said that it allowed the Attorney General, local government officials, and private residents, so anybody, to sue members of the firearms industry that manufactures or sells what they call abnormally dangerous arms and accessories. That's no definition of that, abnormally dangerous arms and accessories. And what the judge finally said, look, he said, what you're trying to do, you're attempting to regulate out-of-state commercial activities, and that's simply unconstitutional. So, but this is what Gavin Newsom tries every single way that he can. So anyway, that we don't know if that's going to be appealed, but Governor Newsom just said that, hey, this is a standard of conduct for the firearms industry, and we're gonna.
It's just crazy. I mean, it's just craziness. JC, talk for a second here. We got about 2 minutes until the first break. Talk about the update on the Supreme Court with the bump stocks.
All right, this will be short and sweet because they heard it on Wednesday, and the Supreme Court doesn't turn around in issues. They said it'll be sometime maybe later this year. But bump stocks, it was determined to be legal by the ATF. Then after the horrible tragedy in Las Vegas where that deranged guy who killed himself, never know why he did it, he set up in a hotel room and just sprayed fire cartridges and bullets into the crowds, killing a lot of folks. Anyway, so they passed a rule saying now these bump stocks are illegal. They are machine guns. Well, they had issued lots of letters saying they weren't, and now all of a sudden they are. So this has come up now to the Supreme Court saying what is going on with this. And the reason is 1934 Gun Control Act passed by Congress is what determined what a machine gun was. I mean, Congress came up with the rule, and the rule is that if it's a machine gun, that means you can pull the trigger and it will continue to fire. Semi-automatics, you have to pull the trigger each and every time. You can pull it as fast as you can or slow, but that's how it works. But that's a federal law. So the bump stock rule, they changed it and said after this, it's like, no, these are actually like machine guns. But if it's a machine gun, the rule required owners to remove or destroy them or register them with the federal government as a under the National Firearms Act, or risk a felony. So what that did, just in an instant, by a bureaucratic, the ATF said, okay, now it's a machine gun. It's like, wait a minute, there's millions of these things have been out there, a couple million anyway that they're aware of, and all of a sudden these people would all be felons. So it came up going, it doesn't change pulling the trigger function in the law. It is a bump stock, uses the recoil of the firearm to actuate your finger to hit the trigger again. And anyway, up to the Supreme Court, and they said much of the argument centered on whether the bump stocks allow a shooter to automatically fire the gun more than once with a single function of the trigger, which it doesn't. And this was the questions that the judges asked during this the hearing. And they wanted to know, well, why did the ATF change position, saying, hey, they're legal, and now suddenly they're illegal? And the justices questioned whether the ATF had the authority to draft rules that define crimes, which is express sole authority of Congress. And why didn't Congress pass a law if they wanted this change?
And John, and as we go into break here, that is the impetus of this whole thing. Gun owners, gun enthusiasts, we're not falling on the store because we want our bump stocks back. It's the precedence this is going to set with arm braces, with triggers, all these things that the ATF, their interpretation of something, that's what we're trying to get at.
That makes citizens felons.
Just overnight.
Bureaucrats. These are bureaucrats. And that's what the whole thing of the Biden thing.
Yep.
Real briefly, that Duttleback, who's the head of the ATF, hates guns, never owned a gun, and he was put in there simply to curtail as much of the sales. He's shutting down FFLs for like clerical areas. You forgot to cross that T, you lose your business. They're 500% of increase in the number of FFLs being shut down, and now they're going to come out, just like Biden is saying, he's going to use this bureaucratic agency, not the government. They're going to make it so you can't sell a firearm to anybody without having a federal firearms license.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Guys, we'll be back. We're going to jump to a quick break. When we come back, more news and a gun of the week. We're on target. Broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms Range. We'll be right back.
As another
Got a couple knocked off your list there, JC.
Yep. We have a couple of really quick ones, too.
Okay, let's do one.
Yeah, we have two or three of the quick ones.
We'll do gun of the week at 12:30. We don't have to. I mean, we can. Right. We'll do that after the news and stuff. I'm getting people texting now saying, we want pictures of the person on the range.
See?
I can't.
You can block the face.
We can fake this. He can put on his little one-piece jumpsuit out there, get some boots on there.
I am telling you.
I'm sorry, I didn't use the proper pronoun.
No. What makes you think I have a one-piece jumpsuit, for starters?
You don't have it anymore?
I've seen you in it. I saw you changing out of it in the bathroom when I went in there.
I'll tell you what.
Let me tell you.
Oh, no. It had a trap door in the back. That was your long john. That was your union suit.
I am understating what this was the other day.
Well, then post
I am
If it's coming out in public, why not?
I mean, it was intentionally trying to make a spectacle.
If it was in public, it's...
Yes, I know, but it was a customer.
They were safe handling of firearms. That's the important thing. But I will say one thing. When I was teaching some of my classes, I've had some ladies in there with really long fingernails, and it is not conducive to concealed carry. Let me tell you, we've had several breaking off their nails while they were in the process of shooting. So that was not good.
Did you get the text I sent the other day?
No, I did not, sir.
Did it come through to you, John? When I sent the text the other night to both of you guys? Maybe I did. Maybe
that's of what?
10 seconds.
I have lots of
all right, 10 seconds.
Everybody gets lots of text there, John. He sends me lots of news articles. Not from Eric.
Yeah, I do. Your ABC6 first warning weather. Guys, I want to be a weatherman. For today, cloudy skies 54. Tonight, cloudy skies 44. Tomorrow, cloudy skies, a little bit of sun, 67. It is currently, currently 47 degrees on your severe weather station News Radio 610 WTVN.
News, traffic, weather, sports. Columbus's News Radio 610 WTVN.
I met her in the club down in Old Soho, where you drink champagne and it tastes just like cherry cola.
And that's why Ella's good.
What an appropriate song.
It is an appropriate song. I love it. That's good.
She walked up to me and she
I think it's the first time we had the Kinks as one of the songs coming back on the show.
Yeah, this song is kind of kinky.
Yes.
I like the double entendre.
If Chuck was here, he'd show that picture.
He probably would.
He'd probably want a copy.
Guys, welcome back to On Target. We're broadcasting live. Sometimes broadcasting live isn't a good thing, Edward, There's no chance to edit, no chance to go back.
Well, that's why Ella's got her finger on the oops button.
She does have the finger on the oops button.
We don't oops too often.
No, we don't. Guys, welcome back. We're talking about some news. JC, fill us in on some other news that you got going on there.
Give you a couple of quick ones here. This just happened. A lot of stuff happened on Wednesday, but Louisiana passes permitless gun carry. Why is that important at all? Well, they're going to be the 28th state out of 50, the 28th state to allow gun owners to carry concealed without a permit. So I think it's going to be true constitutional carry. That means you can also carry with it exposed as well as concealed. So the House of Representatives gave approval to their Senate Bill 1. The measure will allow, and this we were talking about this morning, will allow anyone 18 and older who is eligible to own a handgun to carry it concealed in public without a permit. And we know the government, when you fill it out, you have to be 21 to buy it, but several states now have included you're an adult when you're 18, so it will allow them to carry without a permit. And the governor, Jeff Landry, has pledged to sign it. Not only did he pledge to sign it, his quote was, he goes, while criminals carry gun without regard for the law, lawful gun owners are our most law-abiding citizen. Their armed presence helps to deter violent crime, which, amen. And Landry said it's time that Louisiana joined the 27 other states that have created a constitutional right to carry a firearm. What I like about that is, he said the body, their Senate and House have repeatedly voted for this, but their Democratic governor has always vetoed it. But now he's in charge, and he said that he will sign it when it gets there. And he said the effective date will be the 4th of July to honor our nation's Independence Day. So hats off
and
to
JC, the
Governor
thing
Landry.
that
28 states.
That jumped out for me on that one, it applies to 18-year-olds.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Talking about that. They're not the first state to have applied that.
That
now
is
that they're
interesting.
determined that they're adults. Hey, just a little aside on this too. It's kind of surprising how the nation is headed in this direction, which is a really positive thing. Until 2010, which wasn't that long ago, just Alaska and Vermont allowed permitless carry. Just 2 states. But since 2010, another 26 states have joined that, and there's another one that they said they're just working out the details, and they expect it to be 29 states by the end of the year. So that's really, really, really excellent. So that's
JC,
great.
how about, let's see, what do you got there next? You want to talk clock switches or NRA?
The NRA still it's a work in progress. Of course, they lost their case, which everybody said that it's just the top 4 executives had their hands in the cookie jar, and one of them last week I was going to report that they ordered him to pay $4.3 million back. Well, yesterday I found out they said in another reliable article said it was $5.4 million he's going to have to pay back, and he was the executive director. And the only reason they didn't fire him over the years, we talked about that, was he had wiggled his way into a contract. He actually was going to get paid more after he was gone than he was when he was working. That's nice if you can get it. So, but anyway, so the big fear is that they're going to send somebody to kind of oversee, the court may appoint somebody to oversee the entire NRA, which could really slow things down until they get stuff worked out.
I'm sure it'll probably be a liberal, too.
Well, yeah, who knows? Probably because the case was in New York. Anyway, so that's the story. But this one is kind of interesting. And it just on Wednesday, the Attorney General for New Jersey, they've had a law saying that you had to microstamp firearms. So the microstamp would be onto the primer of the case. And they've tried it, and finally they think they succeeded. They said it's viable. Their New Jersey State Police tested it, and it imprints on the primer numbers, codes, whatever, to identify the supposedly the firearm because it's on the end of the firing pin. And so they've passed this law, and they said when it's available that all firearms dealers are going to have to carry these firearms. Now, because not many firearms manufacturers have come up with this. They're going to start a roster. So the Attorney General said there's going to have a roster. Gun makers can apply to join the state microstamping roster. And once an examiner from the Attorney General's office approves that firearm, every retailer will be required to stock at least one gun from the roster in their store. So they're moving towards this. So I think criminals should switch to revolvers, and that way you never leave your empty cases behind. So
there you go. Perfect. As if they're going to do anything once they find them. JC, let's go to the bottom of the hour news. When we come back, we're going to get to the gun of the week. We're going to get to a new firearm just rolled in here at the store, one that is coming soon. We're actually taking pre-orders for, and much, much more. We're on Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms Range. We'll be back right after the news.
And then
siding a deck
or to that.
Say what?
I said just ancillary to that. There's the manufacturers. Who knows if they're going to make them? Maybe those guns just won't be, offered.
Who's the gun maker?
Well, it's just they're saying if you want to sell, they passed a law said that new firearms that will be sold.
Any new firearm?
Well, they want
or one manufacturer's come up with this imprint.
Well, the imprint is simply them putting this imprint micro engraved on there.
They could mandate it to put it on all manufacturers of firearms, is what you're saying.
Maybe the new ones. And again, it was a short article, but what they want is all future firearms to have this. That doesn't mean that if you already have older firearms, you don't have to retrofit, at least now. So I think in California, as a matter of fact, they can only sell Glocks up to Gen 3s in the state of California because they passed a law saying all this had to be micro-stamped and everything, and Glock said, we're not going to do that for any of their new models after the law was passed. So if they come up with a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, Glock's only selling them up to Gen 3s because they won't. They just don't want to go into this. Plus, firing pins can be so easily changed by anybody, and it's very common to do that. Get a tungsten firing pin, something a little more durable that wouldn't have that on there, and so it's kind of a shot in the dark.
All right, JC, that was okay. We got there Facebook.
I should touch in on just another super short one. It's only 2 sentences here, but they just released the status statistics on Dave Yost on concealed carry permits in Ohio, and as you can imagine, it's going down because but
also the crime handgun or firearms crimes have fallen because of people carrying now. It's not as like they were saying when the permit was coming out. It's going to be like the Wild West.
Well, I wish it was a little bit more like the Wild West, because in the Wild West, when everybody carried, nobody wants to get shot with anything. And these cities, they picked it on TV. Right. That's not the way it really was. If you had a firearm and everybody else had one and you did something stupid, someone's going to shoot you and kill you.
But it's been the reverse effect. It's not the Wild West, and there's been a lot less gun crimes because of everybody being concerned of somebody else having a gun.
Well, and that's what I was saying. The Wild West wasn't really as wild as they depict it. That back in, especially with medical, you got a shot in the gut, you're going to be a goner. You didn't have doctors to come and do that kind of stuff. So it wasn't as wild as as it's portrayed on the old cowboy shows. So
Are you guys wondering what the gun of the week is yet?
No.
I shared it with everyone on YouTube. They know.
Nope.
YouTube knows. No.
Back in 20 seconds.
In 20 seconds, you'll find out, JC.
I'm excited.
Do you have it with you?
I have it with me.
Okay.
And I told you the hint, right?
No.
What the name of it is.
No. Oh, well, earlier at the beginning of before the show, you mean? The one where he kept putting a K in it?
The Ladies
Home
Companion. I mean,
Ladies Home Companion.
From LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric, joined today in the LAPD studios. We got JC to my left, Big Ed to my right. Popo has left the building. Guys, gun of the week. I'm so excited for this because it just makes me smile.
So you're saying that this gun of the week would have been a gun that your fam that came into the store in the one-piece outfit would probably really want.
Actually, probably so. So this gun of the week, unfortunately, I say unfortunately, we did this as a gun of the week in 2017. I figured enough time has gone by here. I'm going to do it again. And JC, I'm not nearly as educated on this as you are when you do your Guns of the Week, but I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. Back in, I think, the late 80s, early 90s, a manufacturing company called Cobray came out with something that became very popular. It was called the Street Sweeper. Mm-hmm. Now, if you were familiar with that, it was basically a short-barreled shotgun, pistol grip. Drum was built right into it. I think it held 10, and it was called the Street Sweeper for a reason, because 10 rounds in there. I mean, that drum rotated and stuff, and I mean, it was it could be a devastating device. Of course, the ATF gets a hold of that, and they say, well, Street Sweeper, that we can't be having those on our streets, and so they made it an NFA item. So if you own those, you had to register it. Now, Cobray, and a little tip of the hat to the ATF, because they were mad because it impeded upon these sales, they decided they were going to do something to kind of poke the bear, if you will. So they came out with something that they didn't want to be as ominous. So they named this gun the LHC. And how could it? I mean, LHC, Ed, you don't think of that and think of, and what did that stand for? That stands for the Ladies Home Companion. Oh, yeah. And if you're watching on YouTube and Facebook, what this is basically a smaller model of the Street Sweeper, chambered in 410 shotgun shells, or you can also slip 45-70 rounds in this.
Ooh. Oh.
And it is the Ladies Home Companion. Well. And consequently enough, it slipped through the ATF. They never picked up on it. They never made it an NFA item, and it was something you could buy without having to go through the additional paperwork.
Do they still make it?
One time.
No. It was only made for a couple years.
That was one time it slipped through, and then
Oh, so it's no longer.
It was very big in South Africa for.
Was it really?
Yeah. It was They sold many down there.
Yep.
But yeah. Is
it an NFA?
Or 45? Not in 410 or 45. Right. Those were all 12 gauges.
Is it an NFA item now?
No. The 410, the Ladies, because it's not as ominous. It doesn't sound as mean.
But it's the same gun, just a smaller caliber.
Yeah.
Boy, that's good. The ATF's on the ball there. I'll tell you.
Yes. So there you have it. If you ever want to stop by and see it, we'll probably have it here for a couple more days.
Yeah, this is great because
it weighs about 10 pounds, John?
Oh no, but it's very, 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 very heavy. Yeah, it's you wind up the spring, and this is incredible. I'd love to shoot this in 45-70, see what this would be like.
Yeah, really. We've shot it one time in 410 when we opened the store, and there was, because of the weight, there was no recoil whatsoever, and with 410 and stuff, but still kind of neat.
Yeah, Buffalo Bill would have liked to hunt some bison with this, wouldn't it? Yeah, but that's pretty amazing.
Take out the whole herd.
Yeah, That is amazing.
Isn't that kind of
neat?
An
NFI.
I don't think I've ever seen that in your collection, Eric.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe you weren't around in 2017 when we had it at the Gun of the Week.
So that puts it 45-70.
So Ed, I'm just telling you now, that probably puts it like 2029. I'll probably circle back around for the Gun of the Week.
Good. Was the barrel rifled or not?
Well,
Did it have rifling?
I don't know.
I
forget.
It's probably got to be for a 45-70, wouldn't it?
Well, it doesn't have to be, but it should be. I mean, other than that, it would be wildly inaccurate.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yep, stamped LHC.
Ladies
Home. There you have it.
Have to take a look at that.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Actually,
that's a heck of a gun of a week there.
There you go. That's an excellent gun of the week.
So
I'm sure I was around in 2017, but I don't recall seeing that.
Yeah, I don't. That would have stuck with my memory. I used to back before when they came out in 12 gauge. I used to see them in the gun shows back in the a couple of years in the 70s. But yeah, I thought they were long gone. But cool.
So something else here. Speaking of guns, because we are a gun show, right?
Show.
Kind of
we do sell guns here.
Something rolled in this week. JC has it here. We talked about it on our SHOT Show special in January, and we were excited about it. Maybe we were the only ones. I don't know. But Smith & Wesson came out with a special run of a revolver for one of our distributors, Lipseys. I don't know if you've ever heard of Lipseys. It's a distributor where we get common things through. I mean, firearms we sell every day in the store. So this is a special run, and there's two versions of this run. One is one that we have here. It came in. It's a Smith & Wesson 442 revolver, so it's the hammerless. This one happens to be in black. What's neat about this one comes with G10 grips on it, which is kind of unique.
Really nice grips. I really feel great.
And a Trijicon red dot, or a front sight that you can change out.
Yeah, it's just it is a tritium sight, so it does have the fiber optic in there. Kind of surprised. I thought a little more would be visible for the daylight, but it is the fiber optic is illuminated by tritium. So and it's got actually usable rear sights. And if anyone knows about the snub-nose 38s, they're just a kind of a point and shoot. They do have sights channel, hard to see, but this is really nice. The grips really look wood-like, but they're G10s. I mean, they're really
and
nice.
What I mean is as nice as this is, and this is a very nice revolver. If you like revolvers, I know some of the people in the audience had been looking at it earlier. The neat thing is this is coming out in 32, and you say, why would I want it in 32, in 32 Magnum? Well, at 32 Magnum, you can shoot 32 long, you can shoot 32 short in it. It gives you some diversity for those who have some sensitivities to recoil. And I don't know why Smith & Wesson stopped making that gun years ago. They used to do it. This is the first time it's going to become back on the scene in 15 years, 20 years.
Is this considered like a J-frame then?
That's J-frame. Yeah, it's a J-frame, and that's why they probably didn't use the 327 Federal, which is an incredibly good round, only just slightly less powerful than a 357 Magnum, but because it's longer, they'd have to use a longer frame, so I think they stuck with a standard J-frame. You don't have to have a longer frame to put the longer cartridge.
But is the 327 any longer than the 38? Special frame? I mean, or a 357 Magnum frame?
Yeah, it's longer than that's not the one, but the 32 Magnum, it's the 32 H&R Magnum, and the 327 is longer.
So how does the 327 in length compare with the 357 Magnum?
I think the cases are almost identical.
So they could put it on the J-frame.
I can look at it, but I think it's... Yeah, they could put it on the 357 J-frame if they wanted to. But my guess is that they don't make as many of those. They're probably more expensive. These are less expensive. And the 32, honestly, it's a great cartridge. I mean, it really is. The 32 Magnum. It's got a lot of oomph in it. I mean, much more powerful than a 380 or something like that you would have in a semi-automatic. And it's got a lot of more velocity.
And we're in line to get some in. Unfortunately, I think they're going to be kind of collectors because I'm not sure how big the run's going to be. It's coming from one manufacturer. It's spread out through a bunch, and so I have a feeling they're going to be hard to get. And I don't know, but we're going to definitely get them when they become available.
So they come in stainless, I loved it when they said the SHOT Show. They said we have 4 models. Well, actually, they have a 32 and a 38, and one they have a stainless in one or a blued in one. But it's really nice trigger. I was pulling the trigger on it, and it stages really well. Where you can actually lock it up without pulling the trigger all the way, and you can. That's really
it's nice, almost like a performance trigger that they work on.
Really good.
So the 38 is here. It's for sale. It's in the case if you've been looking for that. Something that's on the way, and I say on the way, it's going to hit in April, and we're actually taking pre-orders for it, prepayment of pre-orders for it. It's kind of a narrow window at the moment, but the Daniel Defense JC, we talked about this again a month ago, the H9. And it is getting a ton of attention. We're getting in a limited number. The first batch we get are going to be more law enforcement and military going to that side of the house. So if you're eligible for that, NRA member or NRA instructor, there's a big list. But if you're eligible for an LE gun, if you come into our store that we sell a lot of, you would be eligible for this as well. And if you're interested in it, stop by. You can prepay for one, get your name on the list, because we're only going to get a handful in initially.
It's got some really interesting features. It really was a big hit in 2017 when it came out. It was called the Hudson 9 back then. Small little company just trying to get started, get something out there. Great idea. And then, like a lot of small companies, it just don't get the volume of sales, and it costs more to make them than it does to sell them, and so it went out. But the idea, it was a huge hit. So now Daniel Defense, which makes high-quality firearms, they bought the patent rights to it. But they said only one part on the gun is interchangeable now from what it was when they first made it, only one part. But it looks the same when you see it, but they've updated it, and we'll get it, I guess, more of the details. But, rail, optics ready, all that kind of stuff. But it's got it is so thin. I mean, it's like really, the only thing that makes it bigger than 1 inch is the slide stop. And, it has 2 slide stops. So if you took one of them off, it would be less than 1 inch. Anyway, it's pretty amazing firearm. So getting a lot of great press.
This is a 9mm.
9mm, yeah, the ubiquitous 9mm. Yeah, we can get into it, but it feels like a 45. But if you look at it,
it feels like a 45
because it has a 45 grip. They covered that grip angle. It's striker fired, so just like
so it'd be easy for them to make it in a 45.
I don't know. I mean, frame wise, I don't know if they probably. But right now, 9mm is kind of the thing. I can get into details about 15.
So, the guys, let's jump to, before we get to a couple more stories, JC, a couple housekeeping items around the store here. March 16th. March 16th, Edward, mark your calendar.
Think. What is that, a Saturday?
It's a Saturday. It is going to be Glock Days here at the store.
All right.
Glock Rep's going to be here. You can check out and fire a bunch of firearms, hopefully have some specials going on. That day, too, I believe U.S. Law Shield is going to have food of sorts.
Really?
That's what I'm hearing. So that is definitely March 16th.
So that means Papa will definitely be here.
Dad will be here. Dad will be here. Also, May 15th. So mark your calendars for May 15th. U.S. Law Shield is putting on a self-defense what happens next class. So not a self-defense in that they're teaching you different moves, but really it's a neat class about if you're involved in a shooting or something, what's going to happen, what can you expect to happen, and how you should handle that, which is a great class.
That is really, really important. So that will be excellent.
And what else here? We talked about next week, 40 Smith & Wesson ammo. If you have 40 caliber guns out there, we have a heck of a deal on ammo. We still have some over there. I saw it today. It was a trade from an agency who was switching to 9s, so that's good. And I think that's it for that. JC, let's jump to a break, because when we come back, you can run the rest of the show with some news. So sound good?
Okay, sounds good.
All right. We're on talking, broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Firearms and Range. We'll be back right after the break.
I know. Yeah, the fear is that the micro-stamping.
No, I don't have a Chicago update. Eric said nothing's really changed. Couple dead, couple shot. Don't worry about it. Move on.
You want to do weather, Ed?
Sure, I'll do the weather.
You know how to do it?
I think so. Mm-hmm. Your ABC.
It's not ABC. It's ABC.
ABC, the EF warning system.
Oh, Jay-Z, crime mini.
All right.
47 degrees outside. What's it going to be tomorrow? I hear it's going to be in the high 60s.
Oh, it says right there.
Oh, yeah, right there it does say that. Am I supposed to tell people that?
You make me nervous.
There's 3 ladies that came in to go shooting, apparently. You got to show them that Ladies Home Companion gun.
You know how much those are worth now?
Oh.
They're a couple grand now.
I would easily believe
that. What was it when it first came out?
The fact is that it's legal is just...
That's what blows my mind. I can't believe the ATF dropped
They were never really reliable. I mean, they were never like...
Weather in 15 seconds.
A street sweeper is a street sweeper. It doesn't matter how reliable it is, right?
It's a Cobray, right?
You get out of your car with that. Yeah, Cobray, yep. All right, Edward, it is all you on weather. Don't screw it up. Don't screw it up. Here we go.
Your ABC 6 first warning weather. Today, cloudy skies, high of 54. Tonight, cloudy skies again, low of 44. Sunday, get the bikes out. It's going to be a high of 67, baby. It's currently 47 on your severe weather station radio news 610.
Columbus's News Radio, 610 WTVN.
Did I pass?
We might have found a new weatherman, Edward. I'm going to slide that off my plate onto yours.
That's fine. That's fine. You're taking away from the Chicago update. But are we live now?
Yes.
While we were on break, somebody asked about the Chicago update, and Eric told me that there is none because there's only been a couple shot, a couple dead, and let's move on.
Pretty much it.
There you go.
There you have.
Nothing changes there in Chicago.
Hey, guys, before we get to a couple more news stories and stuff, I wanted to give everyone an update. It's one of the interviews we did this week, I think was Blazer and stuff. The USA Today article we talked about last week, where we were listed as one of the gun stores in America who sold an abnormally high amount of guns to criminals.
Who was that?
That was us, LEPD.
No.
Oh, we're selling out the back door, Edward.
Nice.
How
is it a fire sale?
Huh?
Is that like a fire sale?
Did you see the article? Did you actually see what was written?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, yeah. So the update to that is I talked to the guy who wrote the article this week. Got a hold of him. Actually, it sounds like a
Did you
decent guy.
fill him in on what the truth was?
Well, believe it or not, the guy is kind of a gun guy.
Really?
And he is going to be doing some follow-up articles and stuff related. And I have since now talked to him, I think, 2 or 3 times. He's taken some of our input on stuff. So, we'll see. But
he has an editor. And the editor is the one who determines exactly how the news article will
the thing is, and if you missed it, we got put on a list, I guess, for selling too many guns that end up in crimes. And when we started to do our behind-the-scenes investigation, it's really kind of crap. Of the 25 they identified, 2 we know were held for safekeeping out of a divorce incident. The guy said, hey, CPD, can you hold on to these? I'm going to be moving out of the house. I don't want them left behind. So in the report, I have a copy of the report, held for safekeeping, but we get dinged.
It's on the form. That's the last thing on there, and that's listed as a crime to give your guns for safekeeping to the police department while you move or do something. And that put him over that put us over the criminal list.
Not just that. So 2 guns were confiscated out of an OVI where the person who was arrested for OVI had the firearm in the car. It's totally their fault, but we got dinged for that. To put us on this list. At least 2, because we weren't able to back into every one of them yet, 2 were stolen from people's cars. We got dinged for that. It goes on and on. Criminals. One was held for safekeeping out of a DV case. So law enforcement arrives on the scene. There's domestic going on. Hey, is there any guns in the house? They held it for safekeeping. The gun wasn't involved in anything. Boom.
But yet we got
But
tagged.
you make a list saying selling guns to criminals.
And the thing that's most disturbing is the implication here is if we're selling guns to criminals, then we're not doing a good job of, let's say, straw purchases. That would be the allegation that we're selling a gun that's a straw purchase. So you would think the ATF would say, you know what, we're going to do remedial training. We're going to require your employees to go through training to better identify when a straw purchase is coming down. That would be the logical thing, right?
Well,
I would, okay, fine, give us the training if that's the allegation. But the punishment, and this just rubs me wrong every time, the punishment for us doing this is now we have to provide ATF a list of all of our used guns every quarter.
Because these weapons were sold,
right? Because you hit the mark of 25.
Oh my God!
And a list of every used gun has nothing to do
with what you story
with this, but it's that back door, it's that way to get in there. And now they're starting a little database on this, and it's just crazy, It just I don't know.
And the other thing that we talked about, I don't know if you had a chance to look at it any further, but as I mentioned to you a little bit this morning, it was even against the law for the ATF to give that information to a newspaper. There's a law out there said that it needs to be released only to law enforcement agencies. And I have a hard time pronouncing. I think it's TAIRTH law, but it's covered there. It says the ATF can't release this type of information except to law enforcement agencies. Yet, knock, knock, hey, we're the USA Today. We want to do an anti-gun article. Oh, great, here's what you will.
There has to be a defamation suit somewhere in there. I mean, it just makes me mad. We don't.
You have to take it to the Department of Justice. I'm certain they're going to be interested in it.
It's the thing. It's we don't, and we have gone over and above on making sure guns don't end up in the hands of bad guys.
Of course we do.
We've alerted ATF to things they didn't even know about that were going on.
What about the mistakes the ATF makes? How come that isn't? There's no list for that, and there's no penalty list for.
It is not a partnership. Put it that way.
It's not a partnership. No,
it is not a partnership.
It's turned into an anti-gun agency with bureaucrats who don't own guns, hate guns, and now we're in charge.
Yep.
And we're going to now start making criminals out of citizens.
Now I will say, the local guys and girls, love them. They are great people, and a lot of them aren't really on board with some of the stuff that's coming from above. We have a wonderful working relationship with the local teams. We've done arrests with them. We've done all kinds of things with them, and but it's not them.
So what is the point of keeping track of or letting them know about all the different used guns you have now? What's the thought process behind that?
So now, once a firearm is sold new, then it presumably is out there, and they have no idea where it's at. It could be that I could buy it new, Ed, and I could sell it to you.
Okay.
They don't know about the transaction from me to you. You could sell it to your brother, and so they don't have they don't have the ability to trace that.
Okay.
With us giving them a list of used firearms, they now start to pick some of those back up in their lists. So,
but anyway, the fact is, we go above and beyond. We're LEPD. We have law enforcement. Probably more than half the staff that works here is law enforcement. Probably 70%. But anyway,
and now you got me fired up, JC, on something else too. And I'm not going to go too far on this because it's not done yet. But we had someone who got denied here recently. Okay. And of course, I don't take it at face value. I do a little checking. This person is a felon multiple times over. I'm holding his 4473 that says, hey, I'm not a felon. I have him on video holding a firearm. He is on probation. I have gotten no attention whatsoever when I bring that to authorities.
And he's called a lot of people, not just...
Yeah. What do you mean? Did you call the city prosecutors? He don't want nothing to do with it.
We'll see how it pans out, but all indications are initially that...
Where's he on probation at? Did they tell you? In Columbus? Well, that explains it right there.
Well, it just explains everything. And we did stories years ago, and I don't have the updated information, but a couple of years ago, we found out that if lying on your 4473 is it's a federal offense, it's a felony, and out of the over 12,000 people that they have identified who lied on that, they prosecuted 12.
They're trying to make it 13 with Hunter.
I mean, so they don't. The government doesn't care about it.
Did you hear me?
Yeah.
They're trying to make it 13 with Hunter.
They're going to go
it's
up
just
to
crazy.
13.
I mean, it's just there's so many things that can be done to affect change, to positively affect change from what we're seeing in the streets. Just Glock switches makes me mad.
That was my next story that I had. If you had time for it, I don't know.
You can start, Jay. We probably have a minute.
All right, I'm going to go with it quickly but illegal Glock switches made on 3D printers. They're no longer come from China because now people can make them. As a matter of fact, a guy got arrested and charged in Texas. He said he can make 400 a day of these Glock switches. Well, what's happening is it's raising its ugly head, and what they're finding out in D.C., the police chief in D.C. said the growing number of Glock switches contributed to the city's 274 homicides last year, the most since '97. And he said, while the number of shootings is up only about 9%, the number of deaths is like 22% higher than usual. These are so common. Real quickly, the ShotSpotter, the 127 jurisdictions across the nation, they said that fully automatic gunfire rose 97% since 2022, with 9,683 fully automatic weapons recorded, with over 98,000 rounds fired.
I got to get this question in, Eric. So this guy that makes these Glock switches says he can make so many a day,
400
and they know who he is.
Well, they arrested him. He said, but anyone could do it. It's a 3D printer.
Guys, thanks for spending the last hour with us. Don't want to miss next week. We're going to have Bernie Marino on the show. We got a true American hero on with us. So much more. Stop by and see us at the store anytime. 999 Bethel Road. And as always, let's be careful out there.
Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, news, talk, and sports radio. Podcast too.
Download the app.
Free never sounded so good.
You never used to hear about full automatic.
Your main partner. Make sure
we're never hearing
fast, simple, and easy.
Just ShotSpotter. There's only 127 locations in the nation.
Complete your deal online in under 30 minutes. Or stop by our new showroom at the Auto Mall on Georgesville Road. With over 1,700 vehicles in stock, find your ride at your main partner.
And we're just having a football game.
Available at any budget. Buy 100% online,
I'm still not sure they prosecute him in Franklin County.
And we don't know. But as he pointed out, to our surprise, when he found out that the federal government does not prosecute
if you've been thinking about selling your home, this is the most important message you'll hear since before the pandemic.
So now,
as you may know, we are the number one home buyer in Columbus. We recently launched an exciting new program that is getting our home sellers thousands more for their home. Our customers love it. It's still as easy as ever with absolutely no commissions or fees. Just more money in your pocket. To find out more, visit us at 614houses.com. Upward Home Solutions, #1 in Columbus.
All right, Ella, we're done. We're done.
I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love.
OnTarget. This week, Senate candidate Bernie Marino joins us, and you won't want to miss our discussion with a true local hero, sponsored by Jackson Egress Windows. Tune in right here Saturday at noon or live from LEPD Studios on Bethel Road.
Or AMD. And since partnering
Tune
with
in tomorrow at
I've
noon or
learned
live
there's
from
an
LAPD
advanced
Studios
form
on
of
Bethel
dry
Road.
AMD called geographic
Tune in today at
atrophy,
noon or live
GA.
from LAPD Studios
His
on
struggle
Bethel
with
Road.
vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some,
Thank you.
colors